My name is Rose Donahue, and we are filming at the Quantum Arc Media Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. As you know, we like to learn about all things video production. There's a lot of different content out there and a lot of different ways to capture it. We'll be speaking with camera operator Patrick Kerby. Thanks for joining me.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure as well.
All right.
So, I should really elaborate. It's you're a jib operator, drone operator, camera operator, owner of Beyond LA Productions. So you're really in all of the production field.
We kind of do specialize in moving cameras, and jibs, drones. We just got into camera cars, it's kind of a niche thing for us, but it's been very, very lucrative. It's a good position to be in.
That's fabulous to hear. Glad to hear, especially here in Vegas. So
right,
keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you.
So you were telling me a little bit about your beginnings in film, going out with your brother, getting some friends together, and that it's really just grown from there after you got the passion, the bug.
Yes.
Would you say that it was the creating of stories that got you into film, or did the gear that kind of kept you?
It's kind of a combination of both. I mean, really got into it because we go, we love making movies, so we like the storytelling. That's probably the part of it I'm most passionate about. And then to make stories, it's good to have cool toys. And so I got into the cool toys, started jib operating in about 1986, I think, and got in that, and that just kind of turned into a career in itself. My main thing is working in the Vegas community on TV and film production, and then as an offshoot, we kind of still do our own thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I am particularly interested in learning about the jib.
The jib is cool.
Yeah. Whatever your first thoughts are about it.
All right. Well, it's basically a counterbalanced, so it's a big teeter-totter with a head on the end that you control with a joystick. The first jibs were cable controlled. It was called there was one called the Barber Baby Boom. That was the first crane that I worked on. And then there used to be ride-on cranes, like I worked with a tulip crane before that. And then the jib came out, and this technology kind of opened up a whole new door because you didn't need so much weight. You didn't need a camera guy to ride on the end. It was something a single operator could do, so it's much more intuitive than having a guy swinging the crane and a guy trying to operate the camera. And it kind of opened up this whole new world and a whole new skilled position because it takes a lot of practice to get good at it.
I bet.
And the jib, so basically you control a joystick that controls pan and tilt with one hand and then zoom and focus with the other hand. And sometimes even Dutch. So there's, 3 axes on the camera and plus
Dutch,
zoom and focus.
What does Dutch do?
Dutch tilts the camera like
got it. Like a boat.
Like instead of a flat,
back and forth.
Yeah, you can kind of do swoop ins and things like that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In terms of safety, say I'm an actor on set and there's a jib. How should I relate to it?
Don't walk around on your phone, looking down. I, knock on wood, have never hit anybody. Yeah. I've had people walk into the jib while we were building and stuff like that from not paying attention.
Yeah.
But jib ops get a pretty good idea of spatial awareness and things like that.
Yeah.
So, people sometimes go, whoa, when I swoop, but I'm like,
I'm not going to hit you.
I missed you by 2 inches. What are you worried about?
Fine.
You're fine. Just be aware that it's moving all the time. There are blind spots that I will warn people about sometimes, like I've got a monitor on one side, so when I'm arming right, sometimes the monitor obstructs my view. So, I tell people not to jump up real quick or things like that. But just be aware of it. And, the moves are usually choreographed when you're dealing with actors and things like that. There are times when they're not. When the jib operator's freelancing is like concerts and things like that. So you just want to be aware of where the good shots are. One time I was doing the One Drop concert with Lindsay Sterling.
Oh, yeah.
With, I don't know if you know.
Yeah,
Lindsay
she's great.
Sterling.
I helped with that show,
she's
actually.
awesome.
I did costumes
no
that
kidding.
year.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. And so I had a conversation with her beforehand about when was the highlights of her solo and stuff like that. So she'd run right up to the jib and everything. So it was a really fun dance. And yeah, she was awesome.
Very cool. That's important. Yeah, so I was thinking about you really, it's a useful tool in all sorts of mediums. I saw that you do concerts, shows. We're going to look at a clip in a minute about with a car. So is there a favorite aspect or favorite subject you like to
Well,
work on?
I like to do it in telling stories because that's my favorite thing to do. And it's so versatile. If you put it on a set, then you can now reposition the camera in seconds, instead of like building dolly track and stuff like that. As long as the move makes sense to do on a jib, you can raise and lower, you can use it as a static camera that you just move around.
Yeah.
And it's very versatile for that. But, also love doing music. And like I've told you about the thing with Lindsay Sterling, working in concert with the artist to do, really cool moves and things like that. So, yeah,
cool.
it's a
the collaborative effort. Is always fun. That's an important part of it.
But it's an incredibly
filmmaking.
useful tool.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's check out the clip you shared with us, which you have a jib on a truck.
Right. This is kind of the new aspect about it that gimbals have created this opportunity to take out the vibration from driving on a truck and things like that, where we have a Movi XL gimbal that takes out a lot of the motion, so it gives us a whole new area where we can use the jib traveling and doing car shots and things like that.
Awesome. Let's check it out.
I'm operating a 15-foot arm in the back of my pickup.
Wow.
So I'm strapped off to the roll bar on the pickup so I can't fall out, and I'm swinging the arm around, and my son Max operates the gimbal from the back seat of the truck where they've got a monitor mounted there. So it's a two-man system where, before when I tried it, it was a single operator system, and this way you can really concentrate on the swing of the arm and keeping it from dragging on the camera from dragging on the street or anything like that.
That would be terrible.
And yeah, we just have wireless headsets, so we talk to each other, and the move's kind of similar operation that we do with the drone. Drones are two operator most of the time too.
Okay.
So.
Okay, cool. So that kind of let's transition into drones a little bit then.
Okay.
So I always just kind of thought, oh yeah, there's a drone pilot, but there's two people. What are the two people?
There's you can do single operator stuff, but it kind of limits what you can do. With dual operator, the pilot can just concentrate on where the drone is positioned, and the camera guy can and you can do flyby passes and stuff like that a whole lot easier. So it really separates the men from the boys. It kind of separates the operation from single operator to dual. There's guys that do great stuff with single operator, but you give them a second operator, they can do even better stuff. So yeah, and the drone, I started with the drones like 6 months too soon, because I saw drones that I said, okay, this is cool, because this is basically a jib arm with no strings. You can.
That's what I was thinking, maybe.
Yeah. It's so it seemed like an obvious progression for us. So the first one I bought was kind of a mechanical gimbal and things like that. Never made a dime with that one, because by the time we kind of got the system working, better ones had already come out.
Wow.
And that's what happens with new technology is
fast.
You can be a pioneer, but if you're a pioneer too early, you're going to waste a whole lot of money. But fortunately for me, it was only like $4,000, and then by the time we flew it twice, 2 or 3 times, I guess, and then DJI came out with their first one with a gimbal. I go, oh, okay, this is the way this is going. And then since then, we've kind of replaced our drone kind of upgraded our drones every year and a half or so.
Wow, because
So
they just keep changing.
my
real
house
fast.
is full of mobiles.
Drone museum.
It's a drone
Mobiles.
museum.
That's kind of fun. That's a fun artistic remake. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
And just, could you explain a gimbal, please, as well?
The gimbal is it's a stabilizing mount. So it holds the horizon no matter what the drone is doing. And it holds the horizon and the pan position
jiggle.
no matter what. So yeah, the drone can be flying around like this and the gimbal is sitting below it, rock steady.
Awesome.
And then you can pan and tilt it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's
Cool.
that's kind of this new technology, the FreeFly Movi, the DJI Ronin, and the gimbals for drones is this new technology that kind of started around in 2012 and has kind of revolutionized. Certainly, the drone industry is created a whole new thing in motion pictures and TV and everything, because you can do rock steady shots with a $5,000 piece of gear instead of hiring a helicopter and whatnot. So it's kind of changed a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. Not needing a helicopter is a very different budget.
Yes, exactly. And I think what it did is it opened up aerials for people who couldn't afford helicopters. But I don't think it can replace helicopters, because helicopters are always limited to 500 feet. Mm-hmm. So the flying down the strip shot is something that drones can't do, because a drone's top speed is 40 or 50 miles an hour.
Sure.
Helicopters can fly 120, or whatever down the strip. So you can't really duplicate what helicopters can do with a drone, and you can't duplicate what drones can do with a helicopter. A drone can fly from a foot in the air to, 200 feet and things like that, which, helicopters just could never really do anyway without a bunch of wind, blowing your actors over.
Right, for sure.
So it kind of opened up this whole new thing. Exactly. Yeah, good for hurricane movies.
Yeah, okay, well, keep that in mind. So why don't we check out the drone footage you shared with me as well? Because I kind of want to, as you're saying, the drone can't replace helicopter can't replace drone. I was wondering if a drone could replace jib, but I don't think so either.
No,
so
for certain things, but there's sound considerations with a drone is very loud. So, just the exacting moves you can do with the jib. You can zoom with a jib. You can, do really exacting moves really close to your talent. Mm-hmm. Drones are more for, your overall shots, your wide shots, and kind of establishing shots and things like that.
That makes sense. So let's check out the video. I think that will show that really well. We start with a beautiful waterfall shot, and then that above the waterfall, gorgeous.
Yes, that's an example of the two operator thing. I can just fly the drone over the thing, and the operator can do this nice move, looking down at the waterfall and things like that. And so that's a good example of the things a dual operator system could do that would be very, very difficult with single operator.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there's two different things really happening in terms of the drone being flown and capturing the exact look.
Yes.
It's not one simple
simple
thing.
And it's interesting because I think that good pilots are great, but good gimbal operators are better. I mean, that they make that system work more than the pilot does. I mean, it's obviously a combination when you have both that are really good. That's great, and it's not just piloting either. I think the operating a jib arm, gave me an advantage when doing drone stuff of knowing where to position the drone to get the good shots, to find the foreground thing to fly out from behind, and just kind of. That kind of relationships gives you a good concept of what you can do with a drone. It's just like the moves you like to do with the jib, only bigger.
What are some compositional things that do you have a checklist kind of when you're setting up some of your shots? Obviously it's different for every project.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
With jibs, I like to build the arm. I can build in 3-foot increments. So I build the arm where, say if I got a big light bank or a speaker bank, I build it so I can't hit it. or I'll position the arm
Smart.
where I can't hit it, and position to the talent as close as I can without ever being in danger of hitting them, or in multi-camera things, getting into the other shots. Like, there's usually a center camera and stuff like that. So I'll set up the jib where I can never bust his shot. There's lots of things as far as setup goes that experience helps, in knowing where to set up the jib arm to get the best shots possible.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then you get a balance working with the team of other cameramen, to where sometimes you're kind of limited and they put you in the back of the room. I don't like that, but and sometimes you get to really play and get up in the front of the room, and the other guy's got to work around you.
Yeah, haha.
Yeah. It's always when there's a steady cam on the show, I always go, okay, steady cams are notorious for busting jib shots.
Oh, wah wah.
Wah, wah. Yeah.
So one of the things, as I had said before, I was wondering if drones would replace jibs, but it seems like, but as you said, there's just things that jibs can do that drones really can't accomplish.
Yeah.
So it's
operating indoors, operating over crowds, operating when you need to do sound, operating with real precision.
Yeah.
So drones really. I think drones have created an additional thing for filmmakers and TV producers that they didn't have before. And they don't.
A new tool.
They're a new tool. There's certain things that overlap a little bit, like the drone will overlap a little bit with a drone, or with a jib. Like, say you're doing a shot at the end of the movie where you start on a 2-shot and you fly away to this big.
Sure.
Jib can go like 30 feet. A drone can go half a mile.
Right.
So that overlaps, but overall, I think it just created a new opportunity.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's a good distinction.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned earlier that the jibs have maintained their general qualities over years.
Pretty much the operation of a jib arm is the same. The models have changed, and technology has advanced a little bit, but the joystick with one hand and the zoom and focus with the others is the same today as it was when I got into it in 1986.
Yeah.
So it was a great thing for me, because before that I was into cameras. I was into buying cameras for my business and editing systems and things like that. And the technology chase with those items is pretty incredible. You buy a really expensive camera, you better be able to make your money back with it in 2 years, because then you got to replace it.
Yeah.
And I'm back into that with the drones, but it's a specialized enough thing where it's profitable enough to make it worth it.
Sure.
But the jibs, I think in the mid-90s is when I bought most of the jibs that I own now.
Wow.
And they
just maintenance.
Still
Just take good care of
take
your
good
friends.
care of them.
Yeah.
And they work basically the same way. The company I operate, Jimmy Jib Triangles, and Stanton, the company that makes them, they don't even bother going to NAB a year. One year I asked them, I go, how come you guys don't go to NAB to try to sell your product? And they go, if we ever get to where our orders are less than 6 weeks out,
maybe
then
we'll think about it.
Maybe we'll think about it.
Yeah.
So they're a very
good for them.
Yeah, they're
That's
a very
excellent.
popular thing. They've come out with a new model that I'll have to buy one of these days.
Get around to it.
But yeah.
And how would you? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
How would you suggest for someone to get into this industry if they were just
interested?
interested?
Find a jib guy you can apprentice with. It's all about practice. It's about practice and experience and things like that. My son operates. I started out with my nephew as my jib tech. Now he's my number one jib operator.
Wow. Cool.
And he works for Jitacam as well. So they do all the UFC shows and things like that. So he keeps.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sports, of course.
Yeah.
Hockey,
sports is
UFC,
great for jibs.
Also, yeah.
And then my son started teching for me, and now he's my number 2 operator, and he's also the gimbal operator for the drones, and I tell you, these kids who are raised on video games,
Yeah.
both of those
They've got
guys,
some skills.
it was very interesting because both of those guys, I learned to operate camera first, and then I learned a joystick. They walked into it being
ready.
super good on the joystick,
Sure.
so they just had to learn framing and stuff like that, which is, I think you have to have an instinct for that too. Thankfully, both of them do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm an okay gimbal operator for drones. There's a delay in the video feed, so you're always like half a second behind and somehow Max is able to recalculate that in his brain and never cut off people's heads or anything like that. He's remarkable at it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to talk a little bit about your creative stuff because the storytelling really got you into this.
Yes.
The gear kept you a little
Yes,
bit,
yes.
but the stories continued.
Yes.
So Max is your son, but then you also have Max Justice, the
Yes.
superhero.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about that project, about some of your other projects you feel like sharing?
Well, we just, I always thought it would be interesting to have a superhero that you could put in positions where, like, when people do bad things, everybody wishes that they could, like, wouldn't it be cool if I could just be in the position to just tell them off and, and say, what the heck is wrong with you and stuff like that. So I created this character, Max Justice, that has superpowers, and he got together with his geek friends to decide which superpowers he has. He can tell when you're lying. He can teleport, and he has force fields. So he gets to go. The first episode was against ISIS, getting ready to behead someone, and Max Justice shows up to kind of exact justice and tell them why they're
out of line.
They're out of line.
All right. Yeah.
Exactly. And then recently, we just finished shooting on the 3-part origin story, and 2 of those episodes are up, and getting ready to do the last one. And it's great fun having all the toys, all the camera toys to go out.
I bet must be useful.
And and do all the shoots with, and having the special effects experience that my brother had and stuff like that to contribute to the story. So it's great fun.
Good.
It's kind of the things that, I love my job. I love the jib operating and drone. I love doing cool stuff, but there's a special reward when something you wrote and directed, and then you get to use all these cool toys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Having that ownership of the whole project is exciting.
It's great. And and working with my kid is just so much fun.
That's
so
really
rewarding.
cool.
Yeah, it's great.
So where can our audience find out more about you?
Well, you can go to beyondlaproductions.com, and that's our website with a bunch of outdated stuff that, I was going to say the drone demo that we have is sort of outdated, because fortunately we keep busy enough where we don't have time or the need to update our demos. And beyondla.com is where you can find that, or maxjustice.tv. And then you can find all about Max Justice, and all of the episodes are linked there.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Definitely.